The views and opinions expressed by the host, participating audience, and our guests are solely their own and not necessarily that of Affirm Relationship Network.
Welcome to the Affirm Relationship podcast. This podcast was created in honor of my sister, April Riley, who lost her battle to stage 4 pancreatic cancer. This show is from the perspective of singles, couples, parents, and everyday people. Affirm Relationship hosts, our special guests will speak on topics related to relationships and resources on how to improve those individual connections. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy our thought-provoking conversations, intellectual dialogue, useful information that will help enhance your life. Please don't forget to tune in and subscribe. I am your host, Kenya, a father, political activist, designer, and motivational speaker.
And hello, I am Miss Kim, also known as Janisha, your co-host, and I'm the founder of the Love Lab, which is currently being held on Facebook Live. So we are constantly trying to find the formula of love. We have all been through failed experiments. Some successful, some unsuccessful. Our goal here is to dissect these topics in a real manner and promote understanding, growth, and healing for both men and women. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, iHeartRadio, Facebook, wherever you stream your favorite podcast. Download Apple, iTunes, and give Affirm Relationship a 5-star review. Now let's jump into the Affirm Relationship podcast.
So today's topic, we're going to discuss love languages, which deals with how you love. There are 5 love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, gifts, physical touch.
So we are wondering if anyone who's listening, if you know your love language. Have you ever taken the quiz? If not, before this show is done, you will know what your love language is if you take the quiz, and we'll kind of talk about each step, each love language, and what it means to love in that love language. So number 1 is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation means you want to verbally hear how someone feels about you. You want them to validate validate you and how you feel about and how they. I'm sorry, let me start that over.
So we want to thank our guests for tuning in to our show. And today we're talking about words of affirmation. Well, we're talking about the 5 love languages, and of the five love languages, we're talking about words of affirmation. So, Nisha, what does words of affirmation mean to you? And before we get started,
Miss Kim is my name that I refer to for the Love Lab, so that is fine.
Okay.
Words of affirmation is someone telling me how they feel. They are confirming that we may feel the same way about each other. They are telling me exactly how they feel.
And that's exactly correct. I think that when you are in any type of relationship, whether it be friendship or a romantic relationship, you should be able to communicate effectively with your significant other and, share how you feel, affirm that relationship, praise them, praise your significant other, tell them how much you appreciate them, how much you love them, how much you respect them, and just give them that affirmation. You are affirming their existence. You are affirming their relevance to you in that relationship. You are affirming that appreciation. The power of appreciation is a beautiful thing, and that's what I think about when I think about words of affirmation when it comes to a relationship. So that's kind of where I am with it. What's your feedback on that?
Absolutely, that is my number 1. When I took the quiz, that was my number 1, words of affirmation. So I love to hear words of encouragement or praise or appreciation, as you stated. So in a relationship, communication is important to me because, again, I like to hear how someone feels, for them to validate me. So absolutely. The second one is acts of service. What do you think about when you're thinking of acts of service?
So are we done with number 1 of the words of affirmation? Or because I was loving it. I was just saying I was just loving it. I was loving it. Like, What you saying, I'm like getting into it because like when it comes to praise and appreciation, I think a lot of people fall short when it comes to relationships. So we really fall short. We drop the ball when it comes to spoken praise and appreciation for our significant other, especially if you're in a marriage. You want to definitely show your spouse praise and appreciation, and how they respond or how your significant other responds to your words of love is also important too, right?
Absolutely. If you are pouring your heart out to someone and they give you or they don't respond, it makes you feel some kind of way because you have took the time and put in, been creative in what you're saying or doing for that person, and they don't respond in the way that you or in the manner that you feel they should. It can be a problem. Absolutely.
So now let's talk about the second portion of 5 love languages, acts of service. So go right ahead.
Okay. Acts of service. This is doing random things for your significant other to relieve the pressure or just give them relief in general. So if you are living together, if you're married and you take off that pressure, say before your husband or wife gets home, you cleaned the house, you have fixed dinner, or you have run their bath water, and it's things that relieve them and make them feel like, oh, okay, I thought I was going to have to come home and do that, and you have taken care of that. Like, I absolutely appreciate that. And that's probably a lot of people's love language. I know a lot of people that love acts of service. They like someone to do things. Fill my tank up, do things that I thought I would have to do, but now you've taken that pressure off me. I don't have to do it. Mow the grass. Things that person might not even be thinking that you're going to do for them. When you step in and do it, that person really appreciates that. So if that's that person's love language and you are handling business and taking care of things, that person in return is going to really appreciate you, and they will act in your love language as well. So it's a give and take. It's a reciprocated situation when it comes to acts of service. You do something for me, I'll do something for you, and that's how the relationship can continue to thrive and flow.
You know what, Kim? It's interesting that you mentioned that because, I'm from the old school. Actions speak louder than words, right? So, again, when we talk about acts of service, let's not misconstrue it for our listeners that are tuning in. This isn't a tit-for-tat thing, right?
No.
This isn't, let us not misconstrue. This is not a tit-for-tat thing. This is a, hey, you're showing your significant other that you appreciate them, and by doing so, you are extending certain acts of service. It might be something as simple as, hey, you treating your woman out on a date. All right, you paying for everything. Your woman might say, hey, it's your special day. I got you. I'm going to take care of you. That's, acts of service. So it could be something as simple as a postcard or, a picture, sent in a mail or a 4-page letter sealed in it with a kiss. Those are still acts of services, right? Something as simple as just saying, hey, I'm just calling you or texting you to say I appreciate you and I'm thinking about you. So those are simple acts of services that we can do to solidify and strengthen that relationship with that other person. And then it also helps, with the emotional piece as well. So it kind of solidifies that, it helps to solidify that relationship. It speaks to either person, I think, on an emotional and spiritual level when you see, certain acts of services. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. It is not a tit-for-tat thing at all. But I do know when you are in a relationship and that person's playing their part and you're playing your part. So nobody's doing tit for tat, but everybody's just operating in where they're supposed to be operating in to help the relationship move. Because if one person's doing everything, eventually that relationship will not sustain itself. So definitely acts of service, small things. I know I like things like cards, 50-cent cards. You write something sentimental in it, which is affirming me, giving me words of affirmation. But it's something simple that costs 50 cents, but it means so much. So just the simple things, the small things that you may not think that person would appreciate, and that person would. Like if you fix your husband's lunch and you put a small note inside, telling him how much you appreciate him, and those types of things. Those acts of service go a long way.
And I think that, when you apply certain principles, and we're talking about the 5 love languages, and I think there should be 6, right? 6 love languages, or even 7, but we're dealing with 5 right now. And then also keep in mind that if your love language is acts of service, then words of affirmation may not be it for you, right? So these 5 these 5 love languages may or may not fit every single relationship. So this isn't a cookie cutter experience, right? So initially,
Right.
yeah. So initially, they break the mold when they create when you're created. So after you're born, the mold is broken, right? So this isn't a one for all. It doesn't apply to everybody. So I just wanted to say that to our listeners as well.
Absolutely. So we can move on to the next one, which is gifts.
Oh, receiving gifts.
Receiving gifts, kind of similar to acts of service, but when you buy someone a gift, you want to know them. You want to know what they like. You want to know their favorite color. You want to know their favorite perfume. And a lot of times people don't like gifts. There are some individuals who, for their birthday, they just want you to spend time with them. They don't want you to go out of your way and buy them a gift. Me personally, I do like gifts. So my birthday, Christmas, whatever holidays you celebrate, I definitely like gifts. So when you know someone very well, or when you try, when you get to know them, you have to know everything that they like and that they don't like in order to get them the best gift.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And again, some people may not like receiving gifts, so it may be offensive to some people. So you have to really, have that communication or have that conversation with your significant other to see if expressing love to them involves giving gifts or gift giving, because again, some people may not, like to receive gifts, and some may. So it's good that you pointed that out, that you enjoy receiving gifts. And then certain gifts, like men, we might like certain colognes. Women might like certain types of perfumes or shoes or gift cards or money, So I think it's important to really understand your significant other, be it a friend, be it someone that you're romantically involved in, or a spouse. I think it's important to really have that conversation about gift giving and how they feel about certain aspects of that, because again, if that's not their primary love language, then you may need to find another alternative, right? Like you said, Kim, birthdays are very important. Sometimes special days or on no occasion days, just because days are also, sufficient.
Absolutely. And it's important that you know that person, definitely, because that's why we're talking about love language. Because, for instance, my mother, I will buy her a gift for Christmas, whether it's a sweater, whatever. She will end up taking it back and getting the money and getting what she wants. So now, guess what I do? I give her money.
That's
because
right.
She doesn't like gifts. She wants to be able to pick whatever she wants to be able to pick out. She may not like what I got her because my taste may be different. So you may know the difference between whether somebody wants to pick it out themselves, or maybe you take them shopping and say, here, you have $50, get whatever you want, or do you want to buy the gift and give it to them? So definitely have to know the difference between the two.
Most definitely. I appreciate that, because that's, again, as you stated early on, when we were talking about gift giving or receiving gifts, that may or may not be that person's primary love language. However, if it is, as you also indicated, it doesn't matter how expensive or inexpensive or elaborate the gift is. It's usually the thought that normally counts when you are sharing this affirmation with your significant other, the affirmation of gifts or gift giving. The other thing is that it could be something even as simple as cooking a meal. I think that's sexy. I don't think there's nothing more intimate than two people cooking and preparing meals together, especially when the other person knows how to cook or is willing to learn. There's nothing more sexier for me. I love to cook. I just had to put that out there.
Absolutely. Doing it together, that makes it even better. Somebody that's willing to learn, or somebody that says, all right, help me in this area. I don't know what I'm doing. Just that vulnerability in a relationship is awesome.
Kim, I'm huge on effective communication. I know this isn't one of the 5 love languages. However, it is one for me personally.
It should be, yeah.
Absolutely. And that will be the sixth one. And I know that we are not there yet. I just wanted to kind of put that out there for our listeners that are just now tuning in. You are listening to Affirm Relationship. And I am King Ya, your host. And with us is our co-host, Miss Kim. And we are talking about the 5 love languages. And we are now talking about quality time. I think I can handle this one, right? Quality time is very, very significant when you are, in that romantically involved relationship with your significant other. You should carve out some time, do something meaningful. It's not the quantity, but it is the quality. Whether it's taking her out to the movies or preparing that nice home-cooked meal or a glass of wine, or maybe she's had a long day at work. Or with this quarantine going on, maybe you just want to kind of wine and dine from home, make that nice bubble bath, put a little olive oil in there, and a little sea salt in there to detox her, put some other fragrances in there, maybe some essential oils as well, to get her skin all nice and smelling good and soft and all that good stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So just that quality time, go in the bathroom with her, light those candles, or if she just wants to be alone, it's cool. You can still light those candles in there, give her that little alone time. You know how women like to kind of relax in the tub and have that peace of mind where the children not disturbing her, where you ain't disturbing her, the phone ain't ringing off the hook. This is just her downtime, her rest and relaxation time, right? Maybe play some mellow music, some jazz or something like that, a little R&B. Man, looks like I'm setting the mood for somebody right now.
Absolutely. and also things like, I like taking walks, something that is quiet. To me, even sitting in the car, we're listening to music. I'm listening to the type of music you listening to. We singing, we just enjoying each other's company. A lot of men think they have to go above and beyond for a woman, and a lot of times you don't. You don't have to take me to the most expensive restaurant and spend all your money. Keep all your coins. And let's do something that really, really means something, because I like simple stuff. It can be free. We can take a walk. We can go skating, or we can sit in the car. We can watch Netflix and chill. We don't have to always be out spending money.
Kim, undivided attention is very, very well needed, right? Especially when it comes to spending quality time. So like you said, I agree with what you're saying. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. Just that, like you said, that undivided attention, not having your phones out, because sometimes Facebook and all the beeping and, notifications that you get can distract you from your partner. And when you just meet somebody, it's kind of annoying to have somebody on the phone or checking their phone or saying, hold on, give me a second, while you're trying to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And it's interrupted time. So I would like my uninterrupted time with the person that I'm dealing with.
Because you know what, it's also disrespectful to do that. You're spending time with this other person, and the person you're with, they're on their phone, they're texting, they're making phone calls, they're on Facebook. Okay, well, maybe you need to be on a date with Facebook. Okay,
right.
because being able to listen and interact while maintaining eye contact with the other person is very phenomenal, and that's another level of quality time in itself. Being able to listen, being able to converse about how you feel, understanding how they feel, and adding that undivided attention. Oh man, we love that. I gotta say that for the brothers. We love a little bit of that, quality time. And I know the women, I know y'all, y'all love that, and we want to do what we can to impress that, on our significant others. If you are, married, definitely, give that to your spouse.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I had to learn this because I'm a phone person, and even when you're driving in the car with somebody, talking to them, interacting with them even then, instead of being on your phone, because of that. I used to have that bad where I'm with someone and I'm just on my phone, on Facebook, laughing at everything, and I'm in the car with somebody, and it's just like rude. And I did get in trouble for that a couple times. So definitely make sure you are, giving that person your undivided attention, even if it is a car ride that you're going somewhere 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. Just make sure at all times that you're staying connected with that person.
Absolutely. And fellas, if you out there listening, and I know that you are, listen to Affirm Relationship, And I just want to say, if you want your significant other's love to be overflowing for you, then, when your woman comes in the room and she's got something on her mind she want to share with you, and you watching a game or you watching a movie or maybe working from home, put it on pause for a minute. Like, put the TV on mute. Look at her. Don't take your eyes off of her. As long as she's in the room expressing herself, give her that.
Absolutely. We like that. If you're watching the game and we walk past the screen, don't tell us to move out the way. Give us some love for a second. We just probably need some attention, and we'll let you go back to your little game. But if we come in there, obviously there's something that's missing. So you go ahead and fulfill that, and then get back to your game, because the game ain't that important if you want to stay connected with your woman and she's trying to get a little love for a second. Go ahead.
Physical touch. Go ahead. Take it away.
So physical touch is, a lot of people have that. This is their top one, but for me, it was not the top one. I don't know. I like being touched now, but it was not a top contender for me. So physical touch is really nonverbal. It's a love language. A lot of people think it's touch, but it's before you even get to the physical touch part. It is intimacy. It is both parties being on the same page. Regardless, when someone communicates in love terms, it doesn't mean they're always in the mood for physical affection. So when it comes to physical touch, a lot of times you got to get permission, because you got to make sure the other person is in the mood for it, if that's not even their love language. So to me, physical touch is more about communication with the eyes. You could tell somebody in the mood with their eyes, but or their body language. Body language tells if a person wants to be touched as well. So kissing somebody on the forehead is part of physical touch. Holding hands. So it's not always, being intimate and being intimate all the way. It's just physical touch. You might touch me on my shoulder, touch me on my, on my face. Those things are all physical touch. If you're okay with public displays of affection, physical touch in public is good. Some people do not like that. Everybody doesn't like that. Massages is a part of physical touch. Kisses on the forehead, kisses on the cheek. So yes, you have to become fluent in this skill. If that's not your love language and that's your partner's love language, then you definitely have to know. Walking and holding hands in the park, giving hugs, being close with that partner, combing their hair might be, physical touch, cuddling. So putting your hand on their arm, dancing is physical touch. So there's lots of ways that you can be physical with someone without being intimate with them. What do you think?
Oh, no, I certainly affirm everything that you're saying. And, brothers that's gifted with your hands out there, like she said, give your woman, your significant other, a nice body massage. She'll love that. If you into energy work or doing Reiki, give her that, Reiki or that energy work. Your woman will love you and appreciate you for that, because not only are you adding value to that relationship, you are adding to her spiritual self, and you are increasing the love flow between the both of you. So physical touch is definitely important. And in fact, even in babies, if you go, you give birth to a child and you don't touch that child, then that child becomes deformed and mentally disturbed. So physical touch is definitely important when it comes to
absolutely.
Relationships, and if you're married, or you just have a friend, physical touch is good. Maybe a touch on the shoulder, a pat on the back, something like that, a hug, a handshake, a high five. We got to get back to that real love, in these relationships, for real, because it definitely means more. It means a lot. It certainly means a lot.
And if I come over, if you go over your significant other's house and you wear their T-shirt, that to me, that's everything. If I got my man's T-shirt on and I'm walking around the house, even if I can't be physical with him in the way that he may want, there's other things that you can do to solidify that physical touch aspect. So that is an important one. And now we can get to this communication one that you want to add. You can send an email.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah. So let's definitely talk about that effective communication piece. So I'm from the old school. I just got to keep it 100, Kim. And text messages don't get it for me. If you want to get my attention, you got something that you want to say to me, or you need to share something with me, go ahead and give your brother a call. Give me a phone call. We could talk about it on the phone. And one of my biggest things is if you have a disagreement or argument or whatever, the conversation get a little heated, chill out for a minute. Y'all calm down, bring it down, that de-escalate that situation before it gets ugly and out of control, right? And then what you do is you come back to that conversation before the sun goes down. I'm big on, making amends before the sun goes down, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Kim, tomorrow ain't promised like that, right? Especially with everything that's going on in the world today. So you want to make sure whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind, you want to share that with your friend, with your significant other, even if it's a family member, somebody that you care about, and y'all had beef or whatever. You want to squash that beef before the sun go down, definitely before the next day for sure, because you never know if that's going to be that person's last day here on earth, and then that's going to be on your mind. It might be on their mind if you the last person that they see, and y'all had that heated conversation. So effective communication goes a long way. I remember a day where there was no such thing as texting on cell phones. You could not text. You could only pick up a phone and call somebody. I remember the rotary phones back in the day. You remember them, Kim?
Absolutely.
Like, I remember them rotary phone. Now, ain't wasn't no texting on rotary phone. Now, even back in the day, I remember seeing old school romantic movies and stuff like that. Even with what was that movie called, Rosewood, with Vin Rhames? Vin Rhames, he played a role in there, and he saw this young girl on there. I forgot her name. And he brought her an apple, and he, started grocery shopping, bring her stuff about the house, because it was that time, when people showed that interest back in the day, they weren't texting you talking about, I'm coming over to your house. No. And if you didn't have a phone, they showing up with groceries, the brothers showing up and showing out. It wasn't none of that. Nowadays, do that if you want to. Did I tell you to come over? Call the police, stalking. So it's totally different now. I mean, what we're dealing with is crazy.
But you know what? Communication is not just back and forth. It is back and forth, but what I'm saying is also communication is listening. So in order to effectively communicate, you have to be able to effectively listen, because if you're listening to respond, you're not going to get anywhere. If two people are mad and they're ready to express their point, they ain't listening to each other. They just ready to talk. They just ready to say their part. If you're not listening and you're trying to respond, then you ain't hear nothing that the other person is saying. And in order to engage in healthy communication, you have to be able to listen.
That's right. It takes two, baby. It definitely takes two. It takes two to argue, it takes two to fight, it takes two to listen, because, again, that is the art of effective communication. I don't know if there's a book called The Art of Effective Communication. If it's not, I want to be the first person to write it.
Right.
Okay? So we go check that out and see if there's a book called The Art of Effective Communication.
So communicate. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
Communication is verbal and nonverbal. So it seems simple in theory, but it actually isn't when you get into a relationship, because at the end of the day, when you know your partner, you know what nonverbal cues they're giving you that says, all right, I've had enough of this conversation. A lot of times we know how to press our partner's buttons, and you can tell by their nonverbal cues that they're saying, all right, this is not, something I want to continue to talk about. And sometimes, women, most of the time it's women that won't let it go, and they want to keep pressing, and the man is saying, I need to decompress. I need to think about it. Some people have to think about the argument, before they respond, or else they're going to respond in anger. So they need to give it a minute. And then you have the woman that's like, no, let's talk about it right now. So you have to be able to chill and look at those nonverbal cues of that person that's getting ready to explode and say, okay, we're just going to table this, talk about it later, like you said. So communication, man, it can be a failure in relationships. It can be the reason why a relationship doesn't work, especially if the man is one of those types of men that doesn't really know how to effectively communicate, and he doesn't want to tell his emotions and feelings, and you get into those things. And it's women that do the same thing. They don't want to talk about how they feel. They rather slam a door or break something. It's just like, no, let's be grown up and talk about this. So communication definitely should be on one of these 5 love languages.
Yeah, definitely. I certainly agree with you on that. That's definitely accurate for sure. And I know we were talking about the 5th love language, and that was physical touch. Going back to that piece, maybe some people don't like physical touch when you're in a relationship, and maybe those people that don't like physical touch should probably just be alone and single for the rest of their life. I'm just saying.
Hey.
When it comes to sexual intimacy and sexual intercourse, like, you certainly need to know what pleases your mate, because they may not want to be touched here or touched there or like this, or it might be too soft or too hard. So you want to make sure that you are effectively communicating what your spouse or what your significant other likes in the bedroom too, because again, some touch might be too much and some massages might be too much. She might like deep tissue and you giving her soft touch, or she might like soft massage and you giving her deep tissue, and that may not be, so you have to be able to, going back to effective communication. This is that communication, that active listening piece, right? This is that verbal, nonverbal communication that we were talking about in addition to the physical touch.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't like when people give me short rubs, like short, if you're rubbing on my hand or my arm and you just kind of shortly doing it like you kind of petting a dog, that bothers me. So I don't know why, but it just rubs my skin. It's kind of like your hands on a chalkboard. I just don't like it. So I oftentimes have to tell people that, like, ooh. And a lot of people like to do that little short rubbing. And it's like, no, don't do that. So definitely got to communicate on that level. So
for sure. And then also when it comes to cuddling, some people may not be into the whole cuddle piece, whereas others are. So you have to be mindful of that too. Know your other person's preferences. Have that conversation with the other person. Don't just assume that you know what the person's like, what they like intimately or romantically or even sexually, because sexual intercourse is different for different folk, right? And it's not just an in and out type thing, and that's the spot. No. You have to communicate, baby, how you like it, to the left, to the right, up, down, deep, soft, shallow, fast, slow. You have to communicate these things, especially if this is a new relationship that has the potential of budding into something long-lasting.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, all of those love languages, again, some you can take the test and you will find that your top 3 are kind of matched up, and that's okay when you take the test and you see that you operate out of 3 of the love languages. But take the test. You need to know.
Let's give them that test information. Let's give them that test information again. Where can they find that test?
You can if you Google the love language test, you can find that test. There's different platforms that have the test available. All the test does is basically it goes through questions and asks you which one you pick A, B, C, and after you get through with all picking the A, B, and C, you will figure out which one, means the most to you. So again, you can go on Google and type in Love Lab or Love Language Quiz, and it will pop up, and you can take that quiz. And if you are in a relationship, thinking about being in a relationship, they even have love languages for kids, because sometimes you may have a kid that has a different love language than you, and some people be having issues with their kids and they can't figure out why, and it's like maybe you're trying to love that kid in your love language and he needs to be loved or she needs to be loved differently. So they have kids, they have relationships, and I believe they have friendships. So it's important. Love language is all over, It's very important to know, because, especially with your kids. Did you know that? Did you know they had a love language?
Absolutely, because they are human and they're spirits. So we are all cells. We are all nature. We are all human. We are all spirit. So in saying that, if we are all spirit, and I know that we are all spirit, then we have to understand and respect each other's boundaries. Just for instance, we're talking about the 5 love languages, right? Every love language may not apply to every given person. So it makes sense. It makes common sense, and spiritually, it's certainly on point. So it's certainly valid, And you have to be at a point where you can respect even our children's decisions. When it comes to hugging, they may not want to hug you and you're their parent, or they may be in the presence of another adult and they want to they want to hug that child. Well, that child has every right to say no, even to their own parents. That child can say, no, mommy, no, daddy, I don't want to hug right now. And you cannot force them to give you that hug or that kiss, because again, we all have that freedom of choice between us.
Respect.
Yes, yes.
The kids need to respect you, but you need to respect some things about them as well, because you are training them to be an adult, a healthy adult. So you want to be able to
do as I do, not do as I say.
Yes, absolutely. So, that kind of wraps up our topic about love languages.
I think so. With the exception of this, I think we should certainly work on creating our own love language quiz. I think that's something we should certainly work on, because we need that, especially for our people, for our folk. Our folk definitely need that.
Absolutely.
And that one is definitely going to be a 7. Like, we definitely got to have at least 7, for sure.
Absolutely. If not more. We probably can think of some more things, but definitely 7.
I'd be willing to go for 12. Can we work on 12?
Ooh, sure.
Because, there are 12 zodiac signs, right?
Yeah.
I know some people into it, some people ain't. I'm just saying.
Sometimes they are real, because I've read them, and I feel like when it comes to me, Scorpio is right on point when it comes to me. Sometimes they say some wild things that is not true.
Okay.
And I may not agree with it, but for the most part, I would say they're kind of on point sometimes.
Okay. So let's work on that 7, and let's see if we can upgrade that to 12 and have that for our listeners to check out. I think that'll be phenomenal.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is a wrap